The easiest way to make your first crore in India is to think of this Alexander the Great metaphor. So, do you really think Alexander the Great conquered the world because he wanted to conquer the world, or because he just enjoys the process of conquering and he loved fighting for whatever reasons? Okay, I don't say this myself. You can just go to Google and driven by a desire for personal glory to suffer, blah blah blah, right? So basically, he had a very good reason, and because of that, the what I'm trying to say here is that the end result, that is conquering the world, was not the primary motivator here. He just loved the process of doing it. Okay, and this is the most. I could have said anything fancy here, but the reason I decided to put this thing first is because a lot of people are going to get mad and a lot of people are going to leave this video here only, and that's completely okay because, yeah, if you watch this video full, you will not have to watch any other video on this topic. So there's that. Anyway, so this is the mindset part of thing, right? That you need to be enjoying the process. You cannot be like, yeah, we got to do this, we got to do that. Just, yes, you have to make that is there. You have to make your first crore, but you have to enjoy the process. That's the most important thing. If you don't enjoy the process, you will not be able to do it. And this video particularly, it is for e-commerce, right? But whether that be for any business model, right? So, okay, how do you do that with e-commerce itself? The easiest way to do it with e-commerce is solve rich people's problems. Okay. Now, I'm not saying this myself, like this Hormozy also says all the time, although he says more for this for like agency and those kind of things. Hormozy loves this, right? Yeah. Okay. So, and then charge more because, well, they are rich. Okay. And then you charge more. Okay. Now, let me explain you what all this means. Okay. So the thing is, a lot of people in India, like the first mistake they make is they start competing on price because they think India is a price sensitive economy, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it is. That is true. But the thing is that you are not at a position where you can play on price. Okay. Now, why do I say that? Because you're not Ambani, right? The thing is, Ambani has the capital, has the sitting capital. That is very important. Okay. The word here is sitting capital. Ambani has the sitting capital to pour down hundreds of crores in a particular business in anything he wants for as long as he wants, right? And whether that takes 5 days, 10 days, 15 days to come back to him, it does not matter to him. As long as it comes back, as long as it is profitable, he will put the money no matter the money, right? So, and this is something that you cannot do, and this is where people get wrong because the thing is they start copying this very popular connotation that you can sell, expensive thing you can sell expensive things to few people, or cheap thing, affordable, let's not call it cheap, affordable things to a lot of people. And what happens is, since people think India is a price sensitive market, they go with the latter option. Okay. And this is where the biggest problem lies. Because if you're going to go with this option, right, you don't have the sitting capital of, hundreds of crores to do this. Because the thing is, you're making only about a few, like 20, 30 rupees profit per order. How are you going to sustain it if you have just got like 1 lakh or 2 lakh in budget, right? And especially with payment cycles in India, with any shipping partner, anything like that, it takes at least 10 days for the money to flow, 5 to 7 days for the delivery, and then 2 to 3 days for the remittance to actually credit, right? So even the cycles are very long. So this is where people go wrong. You have to not be doing this. Okay. This is what you want to do, and this is how you can make your first crore very simply, very easily. And I have said this in my previous videos as well, so you can obviously watch them after this video. And yeah, but this I wanted to make a deep dive, so there's that. So now, how do you do this? How do you solve rich people's problems? How do you do that? And how do you charge more? How do you position yourself? Because I said you cannot be playing on price. So the next thing that you play on is value. Okay. Now, again, we have another problem that we are not really making our own products. Now, and you should not be doing that when you're just starting out because you want a product to be valid, otherwise your overall budget is just gonna burn, right? So, what are we actually playing? We are actually playing on something called perceived value. Okay, now this is a very important word that I want you to remember. Perceived value. What is perceived value? Okay, I would like to bring up a screenshot here, so let me just pause the video. Yeah, so I think you might recognize this image from Alex Hormoz's book. Okay, if you don't, that's not really a problem. But I just want to use this because I think it's like a really good example. So the thing is that rich people, just like everyone else, they are human beings, right? They have desires. Now, obviously, I'll tell you one thing. There's a caveat to this, that it is really easy to make your first crore, 2 crores, 3 crores, maybe even 4 crores with this, right? But there is a level to this in India. Okay, you cannot go beyond. As per my calculation, as per what I scaled to about 3, 4, 5 crores, right? After as much as I was increasing the scaling, right, the margins were going down. Okay, so I'll be very transparent here. This is not something, India is not a market where you can make tens of crores per month. I'm not saying to hurt your feelings here, but that is a fact. Yes, it has a population of, on paper, population of 1.4 billion, but the matter of fact is, out of that, only maybe 150, 200 people buy online, and that data also includes, like, Amazon, Myntra, and all these kind of things, right? So the people who actually have the disposable income to just randomly see your ad on Instagram or Facebook and then be like, oh yeah, let's buy that is actually very less. That's just about maybe under 100 million. So that's a very small audience. Okay. So I'm not trying to, like, what do you say, like, restrict your ambitions here, but the thing is that I don't want to say that, okay, you can go and use this method and, abuse it and, make like 100. No, that's not possible. India is not a market where you can do that. And this is the reason why you'll see that most of the so-called like big D2C brands in India are in loss, because they don't realize this one thing that I'm going to tell you right now. Okay. Because of this certain problem. So let's first understand this equation, right? So, oops. Okay. So perceived value basically means the for example, is this okay? Let's take an example. Let's say you buy an iPhone and you buy an Android. Which one has a bigger perceived value for whatever reason? iPhone. Whether you like Android or whether you like iPhone, you will realize the fact. Now, objectively, Android might be a better phone. Okay, there's no doubt there we can like argue on that. But I'm talking about perceived value here. Okay, because the thing is, perceived value is not something that's played on logic. This is played on emotion. Okay, human beings are emotional beings. They are not rational beings. You have to remember this. Human beings, human beings are emotional beings, not rational. Someone, I don't know who said that. Anyway, so you have to remember that this perceived value equation works on this very fundamental thing, that human beings are emotional beings. They are not at all rational, right? So whenever you are, selling a product to anyone, in this case, you're selling it to a rich person, right? So you have to understand that whatever, and this is another reason, by the way, why people are not able to do this is they don't understand this, and they're not able to do this because to be able to increase the perceived value of the product, you either have two things. First, you make something like iPhone, like, all those kind of things, right? Whatever iPhone does. Or secondly, that you have to play on the level of marketing. Now, a lot of people might throw around fancy words in India, that I know this, that, but the fact is that people simply here are, they just like to, like, I don't know how to put it, but it's like they would rather make money the easy way than go on and do stuff. But the thing is that this method, to be frankly, it didn't work for me. And I think whoever I have talked to, this doesn't work for them as well. It takes a lot of time. Like, again, as I said, we want to be doing it quick, right? I'm not saying this doesn't work on a longer time horizon. Okay, if you stick with this for maybe 5, 6 years, this will work. Okay, this will work on a longer time horizon. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not a fan of saying that, yeah, I have been doing this thing since 10 years and I have 10 years XP, blah, blah. No, I just started e-commerce in, I think it was November, December 2024. So it's just been a little over a year. Okay. And, it would, going by this method, it would take me years and then a lot of frustration and very less setting capital. The thing is that using this method, like people, I feel like this is why they do it, is that, you can show a very high number on Shopify, like, so like 6, 7, 10 crores, whatever. And then when you're asked about the margins, you're like, yeah, I'm not saying comfortable sharing the margin because the margins are like 3, 4% net. Because this is how this thing works, right? So yeah, that's why, whatever. Okay, I went around. Anyway, so coming back to the point, you have to imagine the product that you're selling to the person. What problem does it solve for them? Okay. So I'll give you another example. So let's say I'm drinking this coffee right now. I'm drinking this black coffee whilst recording this video. So what problem does this cup solve for me? It allows me to drink coffee, which would otherwise spill over on my table, and a lot of things could go wrong. Let's say if I were to drink in a plate, like that might sound a bit ridiculous, but like the person who invented the cup, like imagine his thought process, right? And the dream outcome of this, me being able to drink coffee in a cup, of me drinking, sorry, of the cup, is me being able to drink coffee without actually spilling it anywhere. Right now, a lot of people still spill it, but whatever. So this is the likelihood of achievement. What does this mean? Is that how likely am I to successfully drink this coffee that is in this cup without actually spilling it over? Okay. How long is now? This is not a bit relevant here because this kind of depends on how fast I drink it, and then you have the effort and sacrifice, as in how much effort I have to put in drinking the coffee with the cup, as in how comfortable the cup is, blah 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 blah. Okay, so now the way you apply this to finding products, okay, is you have to find a product. Find a product. Okay. Now I'll tell you a very secret hack here. Okay. Your product doesn't really have to be very expensive. Now, expensive and cheap quality, very high quality are like different things. Okay. Not every high quality product is expensive product is high quality. Right? So your product might just cost 200 rupees, but it might still be very high quality and you can sell that for 2,500 rupees. Okay. Now, a lot of people will tell you that you should not be selling that expensive. And if something they get for 200, they'll maybe just sell it for under 1,000, which is where they go wrong. Right. So, coming back to my point, you have to find a product, right, that firstly, okay, is something that helps people visualize. Okay, let me just do this. Helps people visualize instantly. Instantly. Instantly is a very important word here. Okay. Instantly the the outcome. Okay, this thing here, the dream outcome. You have to find a product, okay, that helps people visualize in oh I wrote in intent, sorry, I can't spell instantly. Okay, the dream outcome. Okay, then what you gotta do is you gotta make sure that the likelihood of achievement with that product, you have to make them believe, okay, with a unique mechanism. Now, what is a unique mechanism? I'll talk about it in just a moment. You have to make them believe in your product that it will, increase their likelihood of achievement. You know what? I'll just write all these points, then I'll explain it, okay? So the next thing was time delay. In the least amount of time possible. And then what you got to do is with the least amount of effort and sacrifice. Okay? This is what you got to do. So you have to find a product, all right, that does all these things. And that will be basically a winner product, right? Now, yeah, okay, let me explain this now. So, as I said, you have to find a product that instantly clicks to them what instantly like makes them realize what their dream outcome will be. Like for example, you're selling I don't know what example. Let's say your hair color again. I don't know why I keep taking hair color examples, but yeah, whatever, hair color, right? So what is the dream outcome of this? The person who is buying this, as in the lady who will buy this, will be able to have like curled hair. So if you're making sure that your ads are good and it lands with the right people, the product does help them visualize the dream outcome, right? So that was why it checks the first box. Okay. Now the second box is makes them. Now let's take. I'll just write it here so you don't get confused. Hair curler example. Make them believe in your product that it will increase their likelihood of achievement. Okay. Perceived likelihood. Let's get that correct here. Perceived likelihood of achievement. Now you might think, how do we do this? Now I mentioned something called unique mechanism. What is a unique mechanism? Unique, unique, unique. God, I can't spell. Unique mechanism. Now, what the hell is this? Mechanism. Okay, yeah. So this has been taken from this book called Breakthrough Advertising. Okay, you can read it if you want. It's a very good book. Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz. I'm sorry if I don't know how to spell his name, but yeah, this is the book. If you want, you can buy it. Right. So I'll just put this here. So what is this unique mechanism, right? So there are a lot of other hair colors in the market. Why will someone buy your hair color? That's the thing. There are a lot of ways to curl hair in the market. Why should someone buy a hair color and that to yours out of all the hair colors in the market? That is where this thing comes into play. The unique mechanism. Okay, so the thing is, since as I said, you're not really making a product, and we don't do that really. So the thing is, you can't really do this on a product level. You have to do this on a marketing level. Now that doesn't mean you go ahead and lie about it, right? But the thing is, you have to figure out what is unique about your product. Okay, as in, for example, let's say your hair curler has some sort of that makes the hair curling, I don't know, quicker, or has some sort of a unique. I'll just illustrate with an example so you guys understand better. Just give me a minute. Okay, so for a moment I want to move away from the hair color example here because I was not able to find and that is why this is not really a good product, because well, if you cannot find a unique mechanism for your product, it's not really a good product, right? So you have to like make sure that you're doing all of these things, and that's how you can find a winner, right? So this is a brand, okay? It's called Liquid Death. I don't know if you guys know about it. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, by the way. I wish I was. Anyway, so this is a brand that basically sells water, and they are a billion-dollar brand. Okay. Now you might think, how the hell are they a billion-dollar brand by selling water? Okay. And that kind of just reflects in the branding that you see. Now the thing is, generally waters are like bottled in plastic waters and like boring bottles and all these kind of things, right? So that is what they do differently here. You can see it's like canned and it's marketed like almost like a beer, okay, almost like a alcoholic beverage. So this is their entire USP. They're against water. They're the cool guys, and this is what they do, right? Now, obviously, now this is where like they're actually changing the product. They're actually customizing it. So how can you find out a unique mechanism? Like I know you might be thinking, how do I find out a unique mechanism for a product that I'm not actually customized developing, right? So you just have to research about it. Now I couldn't really come up with example like right now because I don't make the video very very long. I want to like have it detailed, but at the same time I don't want to like make it so long that you don't want to watch it, right? So the thing is that this is a good example, right? And you can just remember that it has to be something unique. I'll just put it in simple words here. Something unique about your product. Something unique about your product that is genuinely 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 true, that convinces people to get it. Okay, this basically in a nutshell is what unique mechanism is. Okay, and you can, as I said, you can do your research with whatever product you have. You can just search dash your product dash unique mechanism. Okay, and you can do this on ChatGPT. You can do this on Claude. In fact, let me just do it and show it to you. Yeah, so I just came here to Claude, and yeah, as you can see, so doing it with AI is actually better. You can see it get done it in way a lot quickly, right? So the unique mechanism control thermal shaping. At its core, a hair curler works by exploiting a property called temporary hydrogen bond disruption in hair proteins. Here's the raw hair is made of keratin, blah 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 blah. Hydrogen bonds are heat sensitive. When you apply heat and bonds break, there becomes malleable like forms like a hold. Now I can bet you no one in India has used something like this to sell a hair curler. Okay, so what you can do is you can take this research, all right? Oh wow, I know Claude can do this, right? Anyway, whatever. So you can take this, right? And yeah, this is the a very good unique mechanism. In fact, if you really want to sell a hair color, right? So this is what I actually meant by it. You have to find something unique that the product does to solve the problem, which makes the customer believe that okay, it will actually work for them. Okay, and this is the something that the product by default has. You're just discovering it and then marketing it to the customer. Now, how do you do this? How do you convince the customer that you know that this is like how do you I'm not able to put in words, how do you convince the customer about this? Okay, and you do that in the landing page. Okay, now how to make a converting landing page? If I start showing this that in this video is going to be a really long one, so I cannot really do that here. So yeah, but if you need my one-to-one help with like all these things, then you will find a 3 months coaching program link in the description down below. It will be a complete one-to-one program with me, 3 months long, where we'll set a target for you, and we'll work together for 3 months. You'll get direct one-to-one access to me, one-to-one calls, right? And there will be like minimal amount of recorded things, and mostly will be like learning live, obviously. And the fact is that if you don't get the result, like let's say we set out a goal, like for example hitting 10, your first 5 lakh, 10 lakh, whatever, and we don't hit it, then we'll keep working for free till you do. So yeah, you can fill out the form link in the description, and if you qualify, then yeah, we'll get it. And there I can actually teach you how to build like good landing page and all that kind of things, right? So yeah, so in the least amount of possible is another very important word. Okay, can you tell me how does a hair curler do this in the least amount of time possible? So the thing is that generally to curl hair, initially people would have to go to like salons and those kind of things, right? I don't know what other method people use to curl their hairs, but yeah. So the reasons hair curler worked, okay, initially, like obviously it's gotten a bit saturated right now on the basic level. If you sell it properly, then we can make any product, right? Um, the thing is that able to help people, achieve this goal of their dream outcome, that is having a curled hair, right? In the least amount of time possible. They didn't have to go to salons, they didn't have to drive, and those kind of things. Now you can also find some sort of a unique mechanism here, does it very quickly. Okay, so you can also use this mechanism thing in the time delay part, and you can actually convince why is it going to take less time. Convince why. Take it. Because if you just mention fastest or this or that, people will not really believe. But if you say this hair curler will curl your hair in the least amount of time possible, because it uses a special whatever to break hydrogen bonds, which makes your hair go soft, wrap it around a barrel, blah blah blah. That is why it can do this. Which one is more convincing, right? And the reason we are actually doing this is for this. We are increasing the perceived value of the product. Okay. Now imagine, now, okay, let's just also talk about this. So with the least amount of effort and sacrifice, you can just ask Claude, how does this hair curler help the customer do it with the least amount of effort and sacrifice, right? So it'll also give you a good and unique mechanism for that as well. You just clamp and fold, fast means waiting, good tip, and blah blah blah. So you don't have to redo sections. Certain things of metal load, wide barrel equals fewer passes needed. Okay, so you need to know what you do. You just need to hold it there for 10 seconds. That's about it. So again, if you just say that you don't have to put in, this is what like most people do. They'll just say that this is the fastest. You don't have to put effort. It's very easy. It doesn't require sacrifice. Blah blah blah. But you also add this. Who do you think is gonna win, right? And the reason we are doing all this is to increase the perceived value, as I said. And now, do you really think that if you have done all of this, you have to sell your product for 999 rupees? No, you can charge as much as you want. Obviously, there's a caveat to this. You can go and charge 15,000 rupees for a hair color in India, right? But you can in international market, right? If you do additional levels of marketing here, right? So this is the thing. If you just take the product, increase the perceived value of the product, and I know a lot of people talk about using, but no one really shows how to do it. So that's why I showed it, right? And you do that, then you can charge a premium, right? And here's the beauty of charging premium. Let's say you're getting this hair curler for 250 rupees. Okay, rupees 250. You're selling it for 2,500 rupees. Rupees 2,500. 2,499. Okay. You're selling it at this price. It takes you plus 90 rupees to ship. Okay. Plus 90 to ship. It takes you plus 30 to pack, right? And plus 500 on ads. Okay. Now you might think, why are we paying 500 rupees on ads? Because again, I'd like to illustrate with an example here. You are paying more for a quality customer. Okay. The thing is, the people who show you 10, 20x ROAS on Meta ads, They are the ones who have got like 30%, 40% delivery, and they make like, 20 rupees, 30 rupees profit per order, right? So you don't want to be doing that. You want to be extracting the most amount of profit per customer, because you don't have the budget of Ambani to spend hundreds of crores of rupees on this business. You have maybe a lakh, 2 lakh, or 3 lakh, right? So you have to be very, very profit. Your profit to revenue ratio has to be very, very high, right? So once you do this, your total cost comes up to about, how much is it? 250 plus 90, that's 340, 370, and 500. That's 870 rupees. So total cost is equals to rupees 870. Okay, this is the total cost, right? And if you talk about your, like, sorry, okay, just a minute. Yep. So if you talk about your gross profit here, equals to 2499 minus 870. That's 1619. Was it? Or no, 29 actually. So in this case, you are actually making 1629 rupees profit per order, right? Which one do you think? Who do you think? Like, the reason I was able to go from like zero to crores of revenue in a matter of a year is simply because of this method. If I'm making this much of profit per hour, now obviously there are a bit of RTOs, I'll come to that in a moment, right? If I'm making this much of profit per order, how do you think you're not going to scale, right? Now obviously there's caveat here that you can't keep doing this in India as much as you want, because the thing is that India market has not that many of people who can pay 2499 for a hair color, right? That is where this connotation actually holds true, that you have to sell expensive to a few people, but you can still make your first crore, 2-3 crores, which is what you're trying to do here. If you want to make hundreds of crores, India, I'm not saying it's not the market, but you have to have a lot of selling capital. You have to have a lot of capital to do that, right? Because the thing is, beyond a certain point in India, you can't really do. And see, the thing is that yes, you can go ahead, and sorry for this, there's a honeybee in my roof for some reason. It came out or nowhere. So the thing is, you can go ahead and build out, so-called D2C brand in India, right? Like many brands, let's not name them, right? There are many so-called D2C brands in India who will show like thousands of crores of revenue, but they're actually in thousands of crores of loss, right? I don't want to be that person, right? Like all these people who you see on certain like shows, mainstream shows, right? Whatever, they are actually like, you really don't know how much money they have in the bank. Yeah, their company might be worth thousands of crores, right? Few thousand crores. But the thing is, it's in loss, and all these people giving advice, they don't really make any profit. There's this weird metric called EBITDA. Okay, like I have never seen this metric being thrown out in any international market. I'm genuinely saying this. I have never seen anyone in the international market use this word EBITDA. It is only used in this mainstream circles where it's there to convince people that you need to play on valuation. And this is the biggest problem in India. Okay, I'm telling you, this is the biggest problem, that people here like to show off. Okay, they would rather show off hundreds of crores of revenue and be broke than actually be rich and not want to show off. Because the problem is, India is a very validation cultured. I don't know how it has become that, but it's very validation culture, external validation culture. Okay. And this is the biggest problem here. People go after seeking external validation. They might be broke in the bank, but they would rather show people that, okay, yeah, I'm making crores, my company is worth crores, but actually have no money. And this is where the biggest problem lies, because and this is like where the middle class trap in India is also there, because you're actually broke, you don't have the money, but you want to show people that you're rich, so you buy everything on EMI, and then the cycle just loops and you're stuck in your job, right? Okay, I went on a different topic here, but you can just understand that this thing that happens, that you're building a brand, but that's actually in loss, and you're actually valued at maybe 100 few hundred crores, but you actually broke. This same connotation is a derivative of this same middle class trap. Okay, that you buy everything on EMI, because the thing is, yeah, you might be showing hundreds of crores of revenue, but man, you're in loss, yeah. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Okay, and that is the difference of what it takes from going a 4 trillion economy to a 40 trillion economy. I'm talking about the United States. I have never seen any good company in US talk about EBITDA or any of that nonsense metric. If you are not profitable before taxes, how the fuck are you going to be profitable after taxes? It's simply not possible. That is just an excuse made by incompetent people. Okay. And I'm telling you, there are a lot of incompetent people in India. Like, I'm not, some of them are genuinely good, but most of the guys, they're incompetent. Right. And it really takes, it doesn't take that much of thinking. You just have to be a bit smart. You have to not be cocky. The problem here is that people are cocky. They do a few things and they're like, wow, man, I have, conquered the world. Like the man who actually conquered the world. Like, do you know this guy who actually conquered the world? Like, hello? Okay. So you have to, and this is like the problem that, and this is this an entire thing that people like to compare themselves with someone inferior and feel good about it, then feel compare themselves with someone better and feel bad about it. Okay, this is the biggest problem. You have to be able to change this. Okay, how did I do this? How did I come up with this unique thing? Okay, this is my one strategy for one particular field that I do, that is e-commerce. Okay, but I have similar mental models for everything. That is why everything that I do, I just destroy all my competition in that. Because I have certain mental models and paradigms and thinking and principles that I use to come up with these kind of things, right? And one of them is comparing myself with people like Alexander the Great. Now you might think that that is a really narcissistic thing to do. Yeah, to some extent it is. But I don't do this so that, you know, with a matter of arrogance that I am comparing myself. I think no, I'm not really bad. I can't, in that sense, I'm not even a pinch of him, right? But the reason I do that is because if I start comparing myself with everyone around my age, everyone around my age around me is either going to college, doing some bullshit degree, and worrying about some bullshit assignment. And even people twice or thrice my age in India, they're I don't want to name the person, but recently I saw like one of the mainstream people in India in the business world giving advice that you should not be trying to make money in it. It's like, what the fuck, like, why? Okay, so the reason I don't compare is because, firstly and frankly, I'm better than all of them. Okay, I'm better than 99% of them. Okay, not in matter of arrogance and pompousness, but as a matter of confidence that you have to know you're better than them. Okay, and that cannot happen until, and it's like a cycle, because if you're not confident, you're not going to be competent, and if you're not competent, you're not going to be confident. So you have to break the cycle somewhere, and this is how you do it. If you're getting results, you are going to be confident, and you're then going to be competent. Okay, and yeah, that is what I want to say. Don't compare yourself with someone inferior and feel good about it. Compare yourself with someone superior and feel bad about it. Okay. Because the matter of fact is, like, whatever revenue I did in India, 2-3 crores, whatever, monthly, right? That is, very frankly saying, chavanni in international. Okay. It's just 200,000-300,000 dollars. Not even that much if you like do the rates. Okay. Oh, that is nothing but chavanni. Okay. And especially at 18. So just picture it from my point of view. When I said I like to compare myself with Alexander the Great or people like them, it's not because I actually think that I'm like them. It's actually because if I start comparing myself with people my age, bro, they're broke as fuck. Okay. Even people twice, thrice my age, they have never made the money that I made. So if I start comparing myself, and I'll start to feel good, I'll start being comfortable, and I'll become complacent and I'll die. Remember one thing, that there's no up or there's no down. Sorry, there's no middle. There's always up. You're either going up or you're either going down. There's nothing as staying like hold. Okay. So if you're going up, you're going up. If you're going down, you're going down. There's nothing as middle. And if you become complacent, you're going down. And it won't go down. Right. So this is the thing here. Okay. Now let's say you did 100 orders, right? Or let's just take this margin, by the way. So let's just say you did 100 orders here, 100 orders. All right. So your total cost would be 800 and 870 into 100 is equals to into 100. That is 87,000. Okay. Your gross profit here, your cost, that is the cost. Sorry, this is the cost, right? And now your gross profit is 2499 into 100 minus 87,000. 162. No, actually, let's divide this, multiply this by 0.8 as the delivered revenue. 112920. All right. Net profit. Okay. So as you can see, 112920 divide by the total margin that you had. It was this. It's 45% net margin. Okay. Why are we able to do that? This is the difference here, right? Now, the reason I took 0.8 is that we're actually multiplying it by the delivery rate, that is 80%. Now, do you really think the person who is, if you're paying 500 rupees to acquire a customer, you're going to get a 30 or 40% delivery rate? No. Just like the iPhone, if you're paying premium, you're going to get a premium customer, right? And they actually take it, right? And since you're making this much of money, like this much of profit, you can very soon invest it into actually getting a branded box if you really want to. It's not really that important. If you want to, you can get it, right? You can maybe get some ads, good ads, more ads. You can reinvest, or you can just take the money out, learn skills, like do that kind of shit, right? So this is what you need to understand. You have to be thinking on the right mental models, and not become complacent, not compare yourself with people inferior than you and feel good about it. No, you have to feel yourself, compare, as I keep saying, with someone who is way better than you, and feel pathetic about it. Because the matter of fact is that Alexander the Great conquered the world in his 20s. Here I am, 18 years old. I have not even made certain numbers that I don't want to declare it, but I have not made the numbers that I have just. I'm not even. I'm not even making 9 figures a month. Sorry, 9 figures a year. I'm talking in US dollars, right? So that is, if you have this kind of connotation, this is how you're going to be successful at whatever you want to do. Not only just e-commerce, right? Because if you I don't know, it just baffles me. Like, I'll just tell you one thing, that, and the thing is, how do you have this kind of mental models? Because this was particular with e-commerce, right? Since you've watched till here, I think you have a very good attention span. So I want to give you some sauce, right? So the thing is that the reason people don't have this kind of thought process is not because that I had something that they didn't have. Okay, especially this. The problem, as I said, in India, the external validation problem. This comes from this weird middle class, trap of middle class trap of external validation, right? Where everything is about, yaar, मैंने ना इतना struggle किया है, I did this, I did that, and now I'm here. ठीक है? This is the problem here. Okay? Because the thing is that if you're not, if you're not, if you are lucky enough to have food on the table, if you're lucky enough to have a shelter, if you're lucky enough to have clothes, then you can't call it a struggle, man. You call that hard work. Hard work may and struggle may for a food to eat. The person who doesn't have hand, the person who doesn't have eyes, the person who doesn't have ears, or any of the 5 basic organs, or the person who has to keep worrying about the next food, next meal, or whatever like that. That person, whatever he has done, that person, usko struggle bolte hain. Not struggle. This is hard work. And the problem is, people like to glorify it. People like to glorify their hard work for struggle to gain external validation. Okay, and this is prevalent everywhere. I don't want to take any names, but this is, if you just see this a bit closely, you will see this everywhere in every field in India, and this is the biggest problem. They like to glorify their hard work for struggle to gain external validation. And why they do that, I don't know. I really don't understand. Because the thing is, your validation has to come internally. If you go seeking external validation, you're always chasing some kind of different external validation. So it's not really going to work out for you. Okay, and you always be trapped. And this comes from this derivative of the middle class trap. It's just a different form of that. Anyway, getting back to the actual e-commerce part. So you do this, you make a lot of good money, and yeah, then you're pretty good to go, basically, right? The thing is that it's actually pretty damn simple. Nothing in this world, and I would tell you this very honestly, nothing in this world is really complicated. And this is what I was saying when I wanted to talk about the secret sauce, is that people don't realize that. You have the words of the conqueror of the world, Alexander the Great. You have the words of Benjamin Franklin. You have the words of Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man when he was alive. You have the words of Krishna himself in the Gita, the God himself. Lekin, whenever someone goes out to read a book, okay, 99.9% of the cases, whenever someone goes to read a book or buy a book or whatever the fuck, I'm not talking about people who keep doom scrolling on Instagram. I'm talking about people who, at least start something. They just search it up on YouTube. Yeah, thoda sa just use common sense. You have the words of God, of Marcus Aurelius. You have the words of... Do you know how lucky you are? But they will not pick that up, and they'll instead go and read some bullshit like Rich Dad Poor Dad. Like, why the fuck would you read something written by a con man जिसने पैसा कमाया लोगों को made his money by teaching people how to make money? Like, that's the biggest scam, right? Now you might think that I'm also, no, I told you, I have explained in my previous videos why I'm, I started with one-to-one coaching is simply because I'm learning international right now. I'm being very transparent. I don't know how to do the international market. I'm still learning that, right? And my Indian operations basically handled by my team. I have got a CMO and all these people who handle everything. I just have to maybe look at it like 1 hour a day. The rest of the time is spent international. So I might thought, okay, I have this time. Let's not, I'll also make some money. People also get some actually real value in this place full of noise, whatever. Right. So the thing is, getting back to my point, is that you have the words of these people, but people start some bullshit book like Rich Dad Poor Dad, or I don't know, Think and Grow Rich is maybe a bit fine, but there's a lot of this bullshit jargon that is being pushed in the mainstream media. And just remember one thing: if something is pushed in the mainstream, just don't follow it. Right? You have to just don't follow it. It's going to ruin your life. Okay? And yeah, like why would you not read the Gita and read some Rich Dad Poor Dad? What the fuck? Okay, like it just baffles me. Like, why the hell would you do that? Okay, and people just, and the surprising thing is people actually read Rich Dad Poor Dad. They don't even think of reading the Gita 99.9% of that. They think it's some philosophical ritual. No, man, it's the words of Krishna himself, God himself. And then ironically, these people will be the one who will be like, yeah, let's do, we are not this, we are not that, hai na? And they'll do some puja. And the biggest form of puja that you can do to God is your work, is your dharma. And I'm not saying this was said by Krishna himself, but you'll only know it if you read the Gita. The biggest form of devotion to God is fulfilling your dharma, doing your work with utmost sincerity and integrity. That is what God wants. He doesn't want you to sit and worship him the entire day. No, that's not what he wants. Okay, so but the thing is, you have to read books like Gita to understand these kind of things, right? So that's the thing. So yeah, I think that's basically what I had to say on this entire topic. And as I said, if you guys found the video valuable and if you need my one-to-one help, then there will be a link in the description. It's not for everyone. As I said, I have very limited time. I'm learning international, and in the midst of all this, I just want to take up a few people, help them scale, and yeah, maybe change their lives, right? So if you're gonna fill the type form, and if you qualify for it, then my manager will reach out to you, and then we'll book a call, and we'll see where we can take you, set out a goal, and then get started as soon as possible. If you qualify, that is. And as I said, if you don't hit the goal by the end of 3 months, then we'll keep working for free till you do. Of course, given that you put in the effort. If I see that you're not putting in the effort, that's not really my fault, right? So yeah, that's it for the video. I hope you found it extremely valuable, and if you did, then yeah, share it and share it with your friends and people. And yeah, man, let's get to, I think we are like 607 right now. Let's try to get to 1,000 subscribers, because let me tell you the sauce I've said in this video. If you actually got whatever I said, you're not going to make 1 crore, you're going to make tens of crores. Okay, so yeah, obviously, given you can make a first 2-3 crores in India, and then you'll obviously have to start doing it international as well. And the thing is, the reason why I make these videos, by the way, another reason, except apart from just teaching people as well, is because when you get to certain figures, right, when you get to certain numbers, a lot of people who don't know you, they think you're a con man, they think you're scamming people, or blah blah blah. And this is why I have this channel as well, that later on, like 10 years down the line, whatever I become, whenever people put some random accusation on me, because when you get rich and when you get famous, you have a lot of enemies, right? I will always have this channel to show that this is my thought process, this is who I was even 10 years back, and it is because of that is what I became, right? Simply put. So one of the reasons is that as well. That's a long-term reason, but yeah, that's about it. Okay, so yeah, I hope you like the video, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Let me know what videos you want to see. And I did see a video that I want to learn about copywriting and that kind of thing. So I'll see if I can make a video on that. Copywriting is really simple, to be honest. I'll talk about it in the next video. Okay, so yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.